Hi, everybody. I am delighted to talk to you today about an upcoming class on CMed Reflections Parallel with Matt Fox entitled Beyond Patriarchy, which starts July 12th. That's my new puppy, Poppy, in the background. I am delighted to talk to you about this class for all kinds of reasons. First, Matthew was a professor of mine in graduate school. And I credit him with blowing the lid off my relationship with Catholicism and launching me into the cosmos. I have so many memories of coming out of his class and feeling as if he gave me permission to explore not just ideas, but but truth in a way that I did not know it existed. Excuse me. And very, very few people can do that. Very few people can do that. He was wild and outrageous and controversial. In the years that followed, he was silenced by Rome, a renegade Catholic priest. And the person who silenced him was then a cardinal who would then become Pope Benedict. And eventually, Matthew left the Catholic Church as a Catholic priest, and he became an Episcopal priest in order to maintain his genius and follow his genius. And it's a classic story within the Catholic Church of how they try and repress the genius of mystics. And that's who Matthew is. In the years that followed, of course, I went my own way. And Matthew and I would run into each other at conferences. And it was Matthew who directed me to Teresa of Avila. Because by that time I'd written Anatomy of the Spirit. And he said, you should look at Teresa's work because her work with the mansions would parallel your work in the chakras and the sacraments and the human energy system. And it was that prompted me to purchase my first book on Teresa of Avila, The Interior Castle. So my admiration, my love of his work, his genius, goes back a very long time. I should have left her downstairs. But anyway, now Matthew is doing a class on Beyond Patriarchy. And the timing could not be more perfect. The ruling of the Supreme Court. I'm going to try and keep myself calm about that and just speak of it from an archetypal point of view, from a view that supports what Matthew's message is, which is that this is a time when the masculine and the feminine, from a huge view, so that you don't understand this beyond patriarchy as a message that says, beyond males. It's not that at all. It's not that at all. What's happening in the collective is a balancing of the masculine and the feminine in such a huge way that I see it when in doing a reading on somebody, the struggles within us between our intuitive and our rational. That's our masculine and our feminine. And down to how we live within our lives, within the collective, how it is the choice between violence and compassionate legislation, between the rise in guns and the need for progressive decisions. And now the repression, or the masculine, wants to return the feminine into incubation work. That's where you belong. You belong as incubators. So that there is no competition in the workplace. There is no competition in the legislative world. There is no competition in the masculine world of decision making, of power, but rather you stay in the birthplace, in the birth canal. This is all part of this battle between what is happening as we move toward, and here's the greater message, as we move toward becoming whole beings. Now, I've learned in my own work that becoming whole is the most intimidating choice ever. And it used to baffle, it still baffles me actually, but it used to baffle me all the time. Why would someone find becoming a whole person, look at that puppy, don't get it, I mean puppies. Why would someone find becoming whole such an intimidating thing? Balancing your masculine and your feminine, your intuitive with your intellectual skill, your intuitive intelligence with your spiritual intellectual intelligence. Why would that be so? Your masculine and your feminine, your anima and your animus, weaving it together into a whole unit. Why would you find that to be the most intimidating thing? And yet you do. You do. You find that to be the most overwhelming proposition. And it's because in pulling them together, in becoming a whole person, truth becomes more evident to you. Your capacity to hear your inner world becomes more real than the outer world. Let me give you an example of that. Your soul, your inner knowledge system, becomes more acute, it becomes louder. It becomes, you become more aware of how your inner world speaks to you, because your head and your heart and your soul are aligned as one system, one operating system. And you're no longer fighting between what you think and what you feel. You are one whole unit, and you operate from that place. You have the power of congruence. The power of congruence. And when you're congruent, as you know from experiences of congruence, the way that is what true empowerment is. One of the points that Matthew is going to highlight is what it means to discover this power in yourself, and that's the roots of contemporary modern mysticism and the modern mystic, and that in fact we are all mystics, because this is the direction we're going in. That as patriarchy evaporates in its ruling system, what is emerging is this holistic world. And I have for some time now been teaching that we are undergoing a transformation toward holism, that this is the journey we're on. We'll be on it for the rest of our lives and generations to come, because that is the direction. That look at how you treat your health. You now treat your health holistically. That is the way, that is the nature of the journey. It is a holistic journey. Just today, I received a email from a wonderful, brilliant man whose name is Sean Nygaard. He's an astrologer. he sent me an article he wrote, a long, wonderful, brilliant piece. And it happened to be so supportive of the class, the subject that Matthew's teaching on patriarchy from his point of view as an astrologer. And I almost flew out of my chair because it was so incredibly synchronistic as he spoke about how the planetary system is itself supporting the end of the controlling forces of, while he didn't use the word patriarchy, how he described it was the end of the old man archetype, the symbolic old man. And yet he noted that there's a TV series called The Old Man, that there were awards given to the oldest man to ever get the Oscars, the oldest man to ever get the awards at the oldest men, that it is the recognition that it is time for the generation of the baby boomers, the oldest man to be president, that it is like the old generation of old men trying to hold on to a world that is leaving, not just old men, but the old male, the old masculine, trying desperately to hold on while the feminine is trying to emerge. And that this last gasp of trying to control sexuality, control birth, control life and birth, control forces, create a war, do the male battle with the female, that is classic to patriarchy. I find this fascinating, and I find it all the more fascinating that the power of the feminine is what is rising, and it is not about pitting one against the other, but the unity within one, the unity of one's own inner self. It's not about division, it's about becoming whole. And that is the call of our time. That's why offering this class with Matthew to me is so unbelievably perfect in terms of its subject, in terms of its timing. And because I know that the timing of it is not, the synchronicity could not be more perfect. I'm going to be interviewing Matt in the next video later this week, asking him about the class, and you'll get a sample of his incredible charisma as a teacher, as a person, and his genius. And he's also brilliant when it comes to Meister Eckhart. So many areas. When we said to him, I want you to do a class on something you think is the most important thing to you right now, and this is the subject he chose. But I know, as a student of his and someone who's been around his work now forever, that we could have picked any number of subjects that he is just fluent in. But this one, perhaps, has turned out to be the one that is of divine timing. So I invite you to join and just enjoy his genius. And I promise you, he will take you into areas of thought that have never ever occurred to you, but will transform you, will explode your interior. So I'll see you again in a few days with Matthew, and thank you for being a part of the CMed family. It's a wonderful journey with you. Okay, bye for now.